All right, this video is for day 9, page 46 to 49. Um, 46 is this page. Should look like this on lesson 5. So 46, 47, 48, and 49. So for the first problem, number 16, it asks you Caesar turned in his third research report. His teacher said that Caesar has completed 20% of the reports for the school year. How many research reports will he do during the school year? Now, for this one, whenever we do a problem, I want you to think about two things. Is the answer going to be less, or is it going to be more than the number they give you? So, for example, this one says that Caesar turned in his third report. So, the answer that is being asked here is that number 3, third, is it going to be greater or less? So, let's see what the question is asking. His teacher said that Caesar has completed 20% of the reports for the school year. So he's only done 20%. He hasn't done the 100% for the whole school year. That means that his 20% is just 3 research reports. When we find out how much 100% is, then we'll know how many research reports there are for the year. Now the book wants you to do a double number line, where you put like the percentage on one side of the double number line, and then you put the number on top, like the numerical number. For this one, the numerical number is his research reports, and it's just 3. So I'll give you an example with a different number, so you can see what it means. So for example, let's say he did 4 research reports, and that's 25% of the reports he has to do. How many reports is 100%? All we need to figure out is, what can I multiply this percentage to get to 100? If I can multiply a number that's easy, like a whole number, then it'll work. So for this one, it would be 25 times 4. 25 times 4 gives me 100. So that means that I need to multiply by 4 to the other side. 4. What's 4 times 4? That would give me 16. That means that if this was a problem, let's say they gave us 4 fourth right here and 25 instead of 20, we would have to multiply the 25% to get to 100. So for your work, you need to find out what 20 times what gives you 100%, and then use that multiplication number and multiply it by this 3 to find out how many reports he has to do for the year. If I'm not too worried about you doing it this way, just because I know that if we do the division way or multiplication way, it'll be a lot easier. Now, when do you have to use multiplication? When do you have to use division? Remember the trick I told you. If it's going to be a number, so it's third, if the answer is going to be bigger than the original number, if it's going to be bigger, we're going to be dividing. Right here, we know that 4 was our original number, and it became 16 with 100%. So we know that this one was going to get bigger for our answer. When that happens, you can divide, and you always divide by placing the number, not the percentage first. You always put the number first. So we do 24 divided by, but we don't put 25%. We put 0.25. We put 0.25. When I multiply this, I should get 16. So 4 divided by 0.25. There it is, 16. So instead of doing this whole double number line thing, you can just take 3, how many research reports he has done, and divide it by 0.20, and it'll tell you how many in total he has to read for the year, the 100%. So this is my made-up example, just so you can see what the steps are to finding the answer here, which will be over here for yours. So this is how your work should be shown for number 16. Now let's go to number 17. Let's go to number 17. Let's move this over here. Number 17 says, Nia answered 80% of the 40 questions on her test correctly. How many correct answers did she have? So this test has 40 questions, and 80% of them she got right. The question is asking us how many did she get right? This 80%. Now, is the answer going to be more than 40 or less than 40? Um, if a test is 40 questions, I can't get more than 40. Um, so remember the trick. If you are trying to get a bigger number, you're dividing. If you're trying to get a smaller number for the answer, then you would do the opposite, which is multiplication. So I'll do so for your work, you need to take the 40 questions and multiply it by the 80%, because you want to find out how many questions she answered correctly, and she only answered 80% correctly. Now let's do a different problem. Let's say Nia answered 70% correctly out of a 30 question test. How many questions did she get correct? So if I were to be doing this problem with these numbers, I would take 30 and multiply it by 0.70. And that should give me 21. But let me just show you. So it would be 30 times 0.70. I would get 21. That means that in the 30 question test, this person got 21 correct. So you must do the same thing. You need to take 40 and multiply it by the 80%, the 0.80. This will tell you how many questions they got correct. All right, let's go to our next one. It says Andre's grandfather offered to give him a gift of 50% of the amount of money he saved in 1 year. Andre, his grandfather, saved $120. How much did his grandfather give him as a gift? Now this grandfather is going to give him 50% of $120. 50% of this amount. 50% is less than 100%, so I know he's giving him less than $120. So because he's giving him less, we are going to have to be multiplying. We're going to have to be multiplying, because the answer is going to be less. This grandfather is not going to give him $120. It's giving him half of it, so it has to be less. 50% is less than 100%, so that means it needs to be less than $120. So when you multiply 120 by 50%, you should get a number. But again, I'll give you an example on how to do this. So let's say well, no, I can do this one with you guys. That's fine. So when I take 120 and multiply it by 50%, which is 0.50, which is 1/2, I get 60. That means that his grandfather would give him $60. Now, part D says Mitch chose D as the correct answer. How did he get that answer? 180. I think this person got this answer because he added this amount, which was 50%, and he added how much the grandpa had saved up, 120. So I think he added both of these answers, and he thought that the grandfather was going to give them 120 and then an additional 50% of the 120, which he added up to 180. So you would have to put that as your answer when you're explaining it. Let's go to our next one. Move out of here first. All right, let's go to number 1 on page 48. Number 1 says Jason's father. It says Jason's father. Use keyframe frequency for 4 seconds or less. Current keyframe. Well, I'll see you later. It says Jason's father bought a computer for $800. He made equal payments of $25 of the total cost. How much was each payment? Now, for this one, Jason's father bought a computer for $800, and he made equal payments of 25% of the total cost. He didn't pay $800 right away. He paid it monthly, each payment. But each payment was 25% of this amount. The answer has to be less than $800 because you're not paying $800 every month. You're paying equal payments of 25% each month. So you must take $800 and multiply that by the 25%. And that should give you your answer here. Number 2 says Antonio has read 147 pages of a book. He has completed 70% of the book. How many more pages does he need to read to finish the book? Now, for this one, you have to do it in 2 steps. There's 2 steps. The first step is you need to find out how many pages his book has. He only read 70%, and that's 147 pages. So our answer is going to be more because this is only 70%. We want 100%. So that means our pages are going to be more than this. Because our answer is going to be more than the original number, that means we need to divide by the percentage. Now, when you do this, you're going to get an answer. We're going to call this answer 1. I don't want to give you the answer yet. I know I'm missing an R. So it's answer 1. Now, that's the first step. That's my first step. My second step is I need to figure out how many more pages does he need to read to finish the book. He's read this many. He needs to subtract the pages he read by how many pages his book has. This book, remember, is our answer number 1. That's how many pages this book has. But once you do that and you subtract this answer, that'll be how many pages Antonio has to read and how many more pages he needs to read to finish the book. And you get your final answer. All right, let's go to number 3. Let's see, do we have space over here? Yeah, we do. We can use it here. All right, so for number 3, it says, during the basketball season, Corey made 21 out of 60 baskets she attempted. Krista made 16 out of 40 baskets she attempted, and Paula made 17 of the 50 baskets she attempted. Write the names of the players in order from the least percentage of baskets made to the greatest percentage of baskets made. So we need to put the smallest percentage up to the greatest percentage. In order to find the percentage, when they give you like 21 out of 60, you got to make a fraction like this. First number goes on top, second number goes on the bottom. This is for Corey. For the next person, for Krista, it's 16 baskets out of 40. And the last one is Paula, 17 out of 50. When we divide these, we will get a percentage. When we do this, we have to do 21 divided by 60, 16 divided by 40, and 17 divided by 50. And when you do this, you'll always get a percentage. This is how you get your grades for quizzes. So like if there's a 10 question quiz and you got 8 right, I do 8 divided by 10. Or if there's a 400-point quiz and you only get 320 points, I do 320 divided by 400. But let's do these first. 21 divided by 60 gives us 0.35, so that would be 35%. For Chris, the K person, we're going to do 16 divided by 40, and we get 0.4. Now, 0.4 would mean actually 40%. So 0.4 means 40%, and 0.04 means 4%. 0.4 assumes that you have a 0 here afterwards, like that. Or you can do it like this as well, but it's assuming you have a 0 afterwards. That's why 0.4 right here means 40%. They assume a 0 right after that. Now our last one would be 17 divided by 50. And we get 34%. So that means that the person with the smallest or the least percentage was Paula. So I'm going to put Paula here, and then you'll put the next two, and then the greatest one after that. What does this keyframe thing say? Cause buffering. The current keyframe can cause incorrect groups of picture sizes. Huh. We'll see the video afterwards, see how it comes out. Probably have to change something on my end. Now let's go to page 4, next one, page 49. Let's go to question number 4. And let's go here. Now, it says Jackson's mom limits his amount of time he is allowed to play video games. After Jackson plays 9 minutes, his mom tells him that he has used 30% of his time. That's BS. How many more minutes can Jackson play before he uses all of his time? Now, for this one, you need 3 steps. But I'm going to do this problem with different numbers. I'm not going to use these numbers. So in this problem, it says his 9 minutes is his 30%. I'm going to say my 12 minutes is my 40%. Now, the first thing you must do, well, I guess there's not 3 steps. There's 3 steps. We'll see. We need to figure out how much time this kid has to play for the whole time. We only know that 12 minutes, this made up problem, we know that 12 minutes is 40% of his total. That means we need to figure out 100%. That means we need to find a bigger number than 12 minutes. So that means that we're going to take 12 minutes and divide it by the percentage. Remember, if your answer is going to be bigger in the beginning, like you're trying to find a bigger number than this, you have to divide by the percentage. If you're trying to find a number smaller, then you're multiplying by the percentage. But for this one, we're going to be dividing 12 divided by 0.40. So we're going to have 12 divided by 0.40, and we get 30 minutes. That means that this kid that I made up in the story, minutes, he has 30 minutes to play, but he already used 12. I guess there's only 2 steps. So what I need to do is I need to take the 30 minutes that this kid has to play a week and subtract the amount he played already. And that gives me how many minutes more he can still play. For your question, you're going to be doing 9 minutes out of 30%. So because you're trying to find a number bigger than 9 minutes, which is how many minutes he's allowed to do each week, you're going to be dividing. Good luck with that one. That's all I'll show you. Let's go to the next one. Let's see. We have some space up here. All right, here will be fine. We use everything already? I guess not this side that much. There we go. Now, for question number 5, it says Ashley has sold 70% of the 20 candy bars she is supposed to sell for her softball team. So she needs to sell 20 candy bars, but she already sold 70%. How many candy bars does she have left to sell? So we first have to find out how many she sold, which is 70%, and then subtract that 20 minus that answer, and that'll tell us how many she has left to sell. So let's make up my own problem. So 80%, Ashley sold 80% out of the 30 candy bars she has to sell. How many more does she have to sell? So in order to solve this problem, I'm trying to find out how many she sold, which is 80%, which is less than 100%. So I'm going to try to find less candy, not the 30 candy. That's how many I have to sell. I need to find out how many I have sold already. So I need to take 30 and multiply that by 0.80 because the number I'm trying to find is less than 80. I'm sorry, the number that I'm trying to find is less than 30. 30 is the number I need to sell in total. 80% is the amount that I've sold so far. 80% of 30, so 30 times 0.80 gives me 24. That means that I have sold 24 candy bars, but it doesn't tell me how many more candy bars I need to sell. I need to subtract the candy bars that I need to sell for the week by how many I sold to show me how many I have left. Now, this is my made-up problem with my made-up numbers. You can do the same steps, but you have to do it with 70% and 20 candy bars. That's it for this video. I'm going to try making my videos more like this, see if it works out.